guys, welcome back to another week of Chaos to Closing. I'm Danielle.
I'm Trudy.
And today we are here with a solo episode number 7. We're actually going to talk about the psychology behind buying and selling a home.
I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't really looked at what Danny wrote for this episode, so it should be very interesting.
No, but when I was looking it up on the internet and stuff, it was kind of interesting to see little things that affect people. But then when you think about it, I'm like, oh, I kind of thought of that if I go through a home.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I feel like a lot of people, they say, especially in real estate and in sales, you kind of have to mirror your customer. And it's one of those things that I feel like psychologically we do without thinking about it.
Yeah, you have to know your audience. You have to know when someone's more oh, I like the professional, sophisticated version of you, or the person that's I love the version where you're just in your gym clothes.
Yeah, almost
chill.
like a friend.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive in.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the emotional attachment to homes. I know Danielle and I are very emotional people. I'm very attached to my home, so same. We see it all the time. People get very, very emotional. We've dealt with clients who are very emotional. It's tough, especially depending on the circumstances of why you're maybe selling your home or maybe why you're buying a home. You know, maybe you lost a spouse. Maybe, something happened with your family and you need to downsize. There's so many reasons and a lot of emotions go into buying and selling.
I agree. I think especially with selling, that's why it's hard because sometimes you have a seller who's maybe unrealistic and they think their house is worth more than it is, but also in the same breath, they might think it's worth more because they built a lot of great memories.
Yeah, so. No, it's sometimes the sentimental value, they try to put a dollar amount on that. And that's where it gets kind of tricky because, to you, your home may be worth $4 million, but for most people, it's probably not worth $4 million.
Right. The people don't know the background of it. I don't know if you remember, but when I was selling my brother's house last year and there were people coming in and out and obviously it's not it wasn't a mansion. So people were oh, I don't like this. Why would they use this? And I had to almost bite my tongue because I'm these are memories where my nephew was born here. We had great holidays here, great memories. So it definitely can be an emotional process.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know if I were to sell my family home.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
Actually, I would never sell it. If my mom and dad are watching this, you're never selling it. And I will never do it. So,
so to that point, because we've seen it a couple times where agents sell their own homes. Do you think that's kind of a disadvantage?
Yes, I've also been on the opposite side. At my old company, we actually took on an agent's listing for that very reason. She's I'm very attached to my home and she's I won't take criticism well. And I also don't want to have to deal with it. And, I think she kind of felt like she would kind of string it along a lot longer than maybe need be if someone else, were handling it. So we actually ended up selling it for her, it was cool. It was different, but she was it was nice to not have to worry about it and think about it. And there was no emotions to it. Well, emotions, but less.
But I was going to say, I feel like you see that a lot of times where it's an agent's house, but they're not actually representing themselves.
Yeah.
And I do there's pros and cons. Obviously the pros, you know your house better than anyone. Of course. And obviously who better to represent your property than you.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, like you said, it is emotional. So.
See it all the time. Yeah. Things get very emotional in real estate. Regardless of if it's your house or there's an emotional connection, tensions get high, people get upset, people get angry, oh, this email was worded poorly and now someone's pissed off and it's causing issues. So regardless, there's a lot of emotions in real estate. And I think sometimes the emotional attachment to your home could just take it up another notch.
Yeah, I totally agree. So another aspect to the psychology behind buying and selling is the importance of first impressions. So I feel like we've seen it all the time where, maybe someone has a certain style in their home, things are a little outdated. And I feel like it can totally turn off or on certain people based 100%. On that.
I totally agree with you. I always say it's almost like a person. Yeah. They say you have 15 to 30 seconds to make a lasting impression on people. Same thing when it comes to your house. Yeah. You have 15 to 30 seconds. The second your client pulls up to the house, they're already judging it. It's just what it is, So I really think it's super important to kind of, get it right the first time.
Yeah, I agree. Even little things that you're from our point of view, we're you could totally change the landscaping. You could totally change the color. You could change the furniture, but it's for a buyer walking in, they're oh my God, this space is disgusting. Like it's so cluttered because maybe the person like loves collectibles.
Yep.
So they like scatter their living room with collectibles, or like their wallpaper's outdated. It's old furniture, or like we said, the front lawn, maybe the shrubs and the trees are overgrown. But to a buyer, they look at it and they're like, oh my God, ew. Like they think that's what
100%. And also it's like, then, you know, the wheels start turning in their head. They're like, this is expensive. This is going to be a lot, which, you know, it can be a lot when you have to start ripping out trees and fixing landscaping and masonry and blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's super important before you list your house to kind of, you know, clean up a little bit. And nobody's saying you have to go and like get a new roof and like redo all these things.
No one's saying you have to like repaint or anything.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yes, that can add value, but a lot of the time, you know, someone's going to come in and change the paint color anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Right. But even like sometimes people comment on like furniture and it's like, that's not coming
with the house. So I don't know, like, exactly. No, I totally agree. But I feel like the easiest thing that people can do that is free is just like clean up a little bit. It's the same as like if you're going on a date, you know, you want to make sure you look your best and impress somebody. Same with your house. This is like the first time they're seeing your home. Clean up a little bit. Dust, vacuum, maybe light a candle.
I was going to say the candle and just like the scents. Because remember, we both saw that house in Freeport.
That was
I don't know what the smell was. Like I've never smelled anything like
filth.
it. It
was pure filth.
It wasn't like it was rotted food.
No.
It wasn't like it was like, oh, someone had bad BO. It was disgusting. We're to the point where so many people just didn't even want to see the rest of the house.
Yeah.
And it was like a big house.
No, same. That was the same with the house I showed in Hempstead the other day. It was like so cute. They virtually staged it. I'm like, okay, like this like has potential.
Yeah.
We literally walk in. I'm not even kidding. It literally smelled like urine. It was so gross.
Yeah.
We got to the kitchen and I like my buyer's like, no, like I can't even like see the rest of the house. It smells so bad. I'm like, okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
But scents bring also back like nostalgic memories. So I feel like you're always going to associate like one with the other.
Yes.
Or what we were saying too, like if you play like some nice ambiance music, maybe at an open house, that could trigger some good memories.
Soft melodies.
Yes, exactly. So just little things that play like factor, because then someone might be like, oh, I can now envision myself like Christmas morning in the kitchen cooking with like Michael Bublé on.
Yes.
So
that's a vibe. That's how we envision our future.
We always do that. We're always like, where would the Christmas tree go in?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like if me and Danny are in like a super nice house, we're like Christmas tree right there.
Yeah, exactly.
10-foot ceilings, giant Christmas tree.
Exactly.
Third topic we're going to touch on is actually buyer's remorse. Have you ever dealt with a buyer who had buyer's remorse?
Who like was like unhappy with buying a house? No, I never had that, but like, you know.
Okay. Yeah. No, me neither. I've never had someone truly upset with their purchase. I think the biggest thing that I've dealt with was people feeling more nervous and uncomfortable and scared because this was like I feel like mostly for first time home buyers, they get a little nervous because maybe they feel like they're like a little in over their head.
And they'll call you like months later if something breaks and it's like, well, that's just like homeownership.
Yeah. Like I had this one client call me like for months after, like he had purchased his home in the winter and obviously we couldn't test the air conditioning unit, but the air conditioning was just like replaced whatever, like the year prior. So I'm like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. You know, whatever. My closing gift to him was a home warranty, which actually covered it, which is a nice closing gift. You know, if you're ever looking for one, if you have like a worried buyer, which I knew he was very worried.
Right.
So months later, he's calling me. The air conditioning's not working. I'm like, dude, I can't help you with this. And like, lo and behold, all he had to do was turn on the air conditioning, like condenser thing, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I've never really dealt with someone who was upset about their purchase.
Yeah.
Because I think at the end of the day, most people, when you are buying home, the end goal is home ownership and, you know, you've achieved it.
Right. I also think they'll work like very ethical where I could totally see if there was an agent that was pushing them to be like, no, like this is fine. It's like not a big deal. And then they bought it and then it was like, crap. I
agree. Like you know what I mean? You and I would never put someone in a home that was unsafe or like we're really here to help you and not like make money off of you. So we would never put you in a bad home or something that you would regret. And we always tell our clients like my biggest thing is I always say throughout the whole entire process, you need to be comfortable.
Yeah,
this
100%.
is your money. Like, you know, I can help guide you. You could ask me for, you know, whatever guidance and tips and questions, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's your money. It's your investment. It's not my money. I won't be living there.
Yeah.
So you need to be comfortable. So the whole, from the beginning, from showing houses to the whole entire process, whoever you're working with, like you need to be comfortable.
I agree. If anything, I was going to say I've seen more where like we, tell a client maybe to put in up your offer by 10,000, that'll get it done. And every time they're like, no. And then they miss out on it and they're like, damn it, I never want to miss out on that. Like, I love that house.
Yes.
Definitely seen more of that.
Me too. But that's why I actually learned this from another place that I worked. And it was something that I really took with me, is you always want to put your best, no regret offer. By that, it means if I come back to you and say, hey, the house sold for, $845 and you put in at $840, would you be really upset that you lost it over $5,000? Because let's be real.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, $5,000 is nothing in your mortgage payment.
I was going to say people are like 10,000, which like, look, I would be like, oh my God, 10,000. But when you actually calculate, it's really not that much.
Maybe like $20 a month. I don't know. I'm not going to numbers, but it's like nothing.
Yeah.
So
it's really,
you never want to regret anything in the home buying process, especially the home that you're going to be living in.
So number 4, which kind of was the inspiration behind this theme, because I don't know if you remember, I did like an educational video a while ago about the psychology of colors.
I do remember that.
So I
color
thought,
theory.
I thought it was really cool to see like the influences of colors. And I was like, at first I'm like, what? Like it influences you. But then I like think about it. I'm like, oh, like there are certain colors that I'm like, I don't like. Like if this was in my house, I would be like, no.
Yeah.
So let me grab my laptop. I'm going to read some facts about the color.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited.
Okay.
Brett's curious too.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you before I say it.
Okay.
When you think of blue in a house, what do you think of? What emotions does it trigger?
Blue? Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like I associate blue with like the beach and like calm. So like relaxation, good vibes.
Like chill. You wouldn't be mad if your house had a blue wall, like a light blue.
No, I mean, my house is blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I wouldn't mind it.
So blue, often associated with calmness and tranquility, blue can create a serene atmosphere. It's commonly used in bedrooms and bathrooms to promote relaxation.
Wow,
which is true. I feel like a lot of bathrooms are on the blue wave.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. You want to be calm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yellow.
Yellow is actually my least favorite color. I hate yellow.
Really?
Yeah, I hate yellow because I just think of pee. But if I'm thinking of like in terms of like, people who aren't like messed up in the head like me, I would probably say happiness, smiley faces, sunflowers, all happy things. It's a little vibrant,
right?
A little much,
right?
But happiness, I guess. I don't know.
So yellow, this cheerful color evokes happiness and warmth. It can make spaces feel inviting, but should be used sparingly as too much can be overwhelming.
I was going to say, if it's like a muted yellow,
like I'm not talking about
like that Easter yellow, like a nice, pretty, like a pastel yellow. I could like maybe get behind in like a dining room or something.
I agree. Like, but again, sparing. Like I'm not gonna have my whole freaking house yellow.
Yeah, no, that's a little much.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one because I feel like this wasn't as common back in the day. And now you're seeing it more.
Okay.
Green.
I think green is very bold. I love an emerald green. Like I would love in my future home to have like a sick, like shellac, like emerald green office with like custom millwork. Cool. Yeah. Don't ask. That's like my whole thing in my head. But I love green. I think it's very bold. I think of nature, obviously. Again, calm, but I also think of like Boss Babe. Like I think it's cool. A lot of people
use it in kitchens now too because it's like earthy.
Yeah, yeah. We've been seeing that a lot, like green kitchen cabinets, like that. Like
that's like in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So green, symbolizing nature and growth. Green is calming and refreshing. It's great for creating a sense of peace, and it's often used in living rooms and kitchens.
Okay.
Here we go. I swear I didn't read that before.
I did study psychology for one semester, so
I did too. I actually enjoyed it.
Right, me too. It was cool.
This, my least favorite color, red.
I was gonna say, all right, red.
Because to me, red is like ambulance, alarming, like emergency. Hate it.
Blood. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think of like all the bad things.
Too bad like St. John's color's red. So like all my merch is red. But what do you think of?
Red.
For a home.
It's bold. I don't really know where you would put red in your home. Maybe I feel like maybe I've seen it in like living rooms back in the day. What do I think? I don't know. When I see red, I think angry, like bad things. Like you said, ambulance, blood.
What is actually not ironic is they say if you have a red door, it actually can increase the value of your home. My friend, they painted their door red, but it's actually like very cute. Like it stands out, but red. This color can evoke strong emotions from passion to excitement. It can create a sense of urgency, but can be too stimulating if overused in living spaces, which would you want your living room red? But I feel like red could be like inviting for like a door.
It could be. I've seen like there's a house in Babylon that I love. It's white with black shutters and they have a really pretty red door.
Yeah,
so
like that, I can get behind. Like that, like you're not overdoing it.
Yeah.
Because that's just like a little.
Yeah.
Like
little
canvas.
pop of color.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Exactly.
Red's a lot though.
It is. Oh, this one I like, which obviously is getting popular. Gray.
I like gray. I'm kind of over the gray. I'm not going to lie. I
feel like I really liked it before it got like overkill.
Yeah. Like once like flippers started doing everything gray, like gray walls, gray cabinets, gray countertops, gray floors.
Yeah.
I was like, this is depressing. And I feel like I'm in like a mental hospital. So it's like not nice.
Okay.
I like gray. It's a good neutral because it's like better than like white. Like it's a color, I guess. But
that's something.
Yeah. But calm. I don't know. Calm, relaxed.
Gray, a neutral color that, oh wait, I lost my okay. Gray, a neutral color that conveys sophistication and balance. Gray can appeal to a wide audience when used in modern designs, but may feel cold if not paired with warmer tones.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You can't do everything gray.
No, like that's too much.
Like, you know what I like? I like when people do gray, but then they have accents with like blue.
Yeah, that's pretty. I like gray and blue. Gray and yellow is also not bad actually, like a pastel yellow. Or like even if you do like gray walls, if you have like custom millwork, so it's like white with like gray, then it like kind of breaks up. It's not too bad. I could get behind it.
I'm going to skip some of the boring colors,
but
this is interesting. Never really seen this. Orange.
Yeah, I've never seen it and I hope I don't.
Orange.
That's way too much.
A vibrant color that can stimulate enthusiasm and creativity. It works well in social spaces like kitchens and dining areas, but should be balanced with more neutral tones.
That's too much.
I could totally see if you wanted an orange, like if you had like your office space or like your use space and you wanted like a pop of color. I personally wouldn't really do it for a kitchen or a dining room.
That's way too much.
No.
Like, and it has to be a specific shade of orange, like not bright orange, maybe like a fally orange.
I was gonna say, I feel like the most you would get from me would be like accents of like an orange flower.
Yeah,
like
same. Or a pillow.
Yeah,
yeah, like that's not with the orange.
Yeah,
please don't do it.
This, our fave color, but I don't really know about a house. Purple.
I mean, I love purple. Would I paint anything in my house purple? Probably not, unless I have like a daughter and you know she wants purple bedroom.
Yeah. Like my bedroom's like it's like a grayish purple, so it's
I like your bedroom color.
Yeah, like it's, but I wouldn't classify it as like purple.
No.
But this says lighter shades can be calming with darker shades can feel a little bit too dramatic.
Have you ever seen like those people on TikTok who like are obsessed with one color?
No.
You've never, we're going to go into a deep dive after this. There's this lady in the city and like they call her like, have you seen her, Brett? They call her like the green lady or something. Everything in her house is green. Everything. Like she wears all green every day. Her hair is green. Her whole entire house is green, like floors, cabinets, walls. There's someone on TikTok who is obsessed with the color pink. I think she calls herself like the pink lady.
Okay.
Everything. Literally the food she eats is pink. Like she'll dye her eggs with like beets to make them pink.
That's weird.
She literally makes her own mozzarella cheese and like puts pink stuff in it.
That's really weird.
Like that's
so
like
I guess she can never go to a restaurant.
I don't know.
That's
weird though.
That is
like people take colors like to the next level. Like I love a color, but I would never ride or die that hard for a color.
No.
Clearly there's like psychological issue.
Yeah, no, like I'm not like that. Okay, the last color we will touch on is black.
You know me. I love black. I'm usually always in all black. I think black's a cool color. I like it. I feel like on an accent wall it would be really cool. I think we're seeing it a lot more now, especially in like kitchens.
Yeah, kitchens.
I think is really cool. I love like a nice black island. If you have like white, you know, other cabinets, I think black is cool. I feel like back in the day it was kind of like, whoa, like you way don't too do bold. That. Yeah. But I think people are getting more expressive and creative with their homes, which I think is nice because
it's cool.
You know, growing up, I feel like you've seen like those things on Twitter, like there's certain types of home, like you either have like a Tuscan home, where your mom had like the olives and like stuff, or like, you know, a chicken home and they had like the roosters or whatever all over. I think it's fun that people are like experimenting with their style. I love black. I think it's cool. I think it's bold.
Yeah, I agree. Here it says, obviously it can create a sense of sophistication and drama. While it can be stylish, too much black can feel heavy, so it's best used as an accent, which is kind of like
I agree.
What you said. I agree. I love black, but like I've seen some people who do like the all black kitchen, like that's a little too much for me.
That's a little much.
Like we said, I think accents here and there, but with some pops of color.
I agree.
I like. Cool. All right. Well, that was interesting.
Very interesting.
All right. Let's get back into the other things. Okay.
The next topic we're going to touch on is social proof in real estate. We're going to talk about the concept of social proof and how seeing others, like your friends and neighbors, can kind of influence your buying decision.
Which I think is a big one.
I think is a huge one. I know it would be for me. You know, most people want to be close to their friends and family. And more often than not, we see people choosing places to live based off of where their friends and family are.
I'm just laughing because the other day, Trudy and I were having a conversation
again.
And I was like saying, I'm like, well, eventually I'm probably gonna have to move to Westchester for reasons we're not going to go into. But I was like to Trudy, I'm like, we can't be separated by a bridge. And Trudy's like, no, I think I actually might have to move to Westchester because me and her other long-term best friend are both going to be over the bridge. So Trudy was like, I feel like I have to now move.
Yeah, no, I think I might have to pull the trigger on that. I mean, listen, I don't hate it there.
Yeah.
I'll have to spend more time there and see, but I definitely agree. You want to be close to your friends and family. I mean, I know I would be. Most people want to. Even we did a street fair the other day, and one woman we were talking to said, my friends want to buy here. So if you have anything coming up, please let me know.
She's like, I only want to be in this community because my best friend's there. And it's but even to that degree, it's if you see maybe a bunch of your friends living in a specific town, you're like, oh, it must be a good town because all my friends are living there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Also to that, breath, we were saying, Trudy's from Suffolk, I'm from Nassau. But for example, me, growing up, I never really had friends in Suffolk. You know what I mean? The only time I really was out in Suffolk was pumpkin picking, apple picking. So for me,
in the sticks of Suffolk.
Yes. But so for me, and again, I know I'm oh, I love Nassau, but it's because to me, Suffolk does not feel like home.
Yeah. And see, in the same breath, opposite for me, I grew up going out east all the time. I grew up going to Montauk, the Hamptons, doing all of that. So for me, that's my home. And I'm that was my childhood growing up. I loved doing that on the weekends. So for me, that's, comfortable for me. It's home. It's
that's what you're more familiar with. I mean, even certain little things of being able to be okay, even when we had that hot yoga event and people are I don't know where to park. And to me, I'm what the heck? Just park. But it's oh, I'm from here. You want to be comfortable with where
your environment, your surroundings. Yeah. I totally agree. I think that is people's biggest fear when they are moving, if they're moving away from their friends and family, is almost starting over.
I know. And even if it's something as silly as oh, I'm moving from Nassau to Suffolk, or Trudy's moving from Suffolk to Nassau, even though it's 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's still oh my God.
It's a big adjustment. Yeah. I was just working with buyers and, they're further away. They're from New Jersey. Yeah. But she's used to living in the suburbs, real suburbs. And we were looking at houses all the way out east. She's where is the food store? She's she literally was why are the roads everything's so far apart? She couldn't understand. She's this is going to be a huge adjustment for me. I'm not used to this. And her husband's oh, the food store's 10 minutes away. And she's okay, but the food store by us is literally I could walk there. This is a big
I was gonna
change.
say that is a big, well, that's what I was saying to that token. For me, for Suffolk, sorry, all y'all Suffolkers. That feels the frickin' South to me. That feels the farms because everything is so spread out. I'm I don't even feel I'm in New York anymore. But to your...
That's the beauty of it.
Okay, well then I would move down south. But then to your breath, you're oh, I'm used to having friends who have backyards and spaces. Yeah. And for us, it's oh, I was one of the only people out of my friends that had a pool and backyard.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. I can't imagine that. I'm everybody had that growing up.
So it's but I think your friends and family definitely play a huge, think about, we were saying, Trudy and I are obviously there's no place home like New York, but we say all the time, why do we live here? Yeah. It's so expensive. It's hard to live a nice life here, but it's where am I going to go? All my friends are here. All my family's here. So
no, I agree. Do I really want to start over and start fresh? I'm sure we could if we wanted 100%. To, but do you really want to?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
Even for people on their second stage of life. My mom wants to buy a house in Delaware.
Yeah, that's so random.
It is very random. She went there 3 times. And she's I love it. And I'm okay. She's there's no state income tax. Okay, great. You don't work. So what difference does it make? But she loves it. But I'm Mommy, you're going to be it's not 30, 45 minutes away where I can really just drop everything and drive to you. It's 30, 40, 45 minutes. 45 minutes. It's not 30, 45 minutes. It's literally hours away.
3-4 hours maybe.
And she's I don't want to be near anybody. We're getting sidetracked. She's I basically hate people. So I want to be far away from everyone. But I'm do you really want to be that far away from everyone? Because all you got is friends and family at the end of the day.
But it definitely plays a huge role.
Part. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the number one thing we say with our buyers.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Next topic we have is FOMO, fear of missing out. I think we're seeing that a lot more now because the market's super competitive. Mm-hmm. So it's if you don't get in now, when are you going to get in?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's insane.
Yeah. So I think sometimes also to the previous point about the buyer's remorse, maybe people are feeling that more now because they have FOMO. Like, I need to get in this house.
Yes.
Because if I don't get this house, when am I going to get a house? And then they buy it and they're like, damn it. Like, maybe it wasn't a good fit. I rushed into it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, even people in our office, they just sold something, and those buyers have been looking to move from Queens for like 4 years, and at this point they paid way over ask, which, great for them, the people in our office. But there's like that sense of urgency. Like, if I don't buy now, especially because interest rates are kind of like up in the air, things, people are waiting until after the elections, things are kind of just like
in limbo.
In limbo, basically. People are like, oh my gosh, like it's basically now or never.
Yeah. So how, from a real estate standpoint, do you navigate it when your buyer, might be experiencing that FOMO? Like, I need to get.
It kind of reverts back to, again, like them being comfortable. Obviously, I talk to them and see where they're at in their life. It also depends on their situation, their sense of urgency.
Totally.
Obviously, if they need to move quickly, I do kind of put a little bit more pressure on them. Like, hey, not trying to pressure you into buying something you're not comfortable with. Right. But like, you can't be so picky.
Like, kind of like your situation with your buyers now. Like,
so my buyer that I have right now, he is selling his house out east, and his wife lives in New Jersey, and he's under contract on his house out east, so there's like really no time. Like, the timeline was literally like till the end of December,
and it was like with like an outside, like third party, like Zillow. So it's like you don't really have much grace.
Yeah, you don't really have flexibility. Like, there's only so far he could stretch his closing. I think he has like an additional 2 weeks after like December. So time was of the essence. I literally met with them for like 2 or 3 weekends. I've showed them over like 30 houses because literally time was of the essence. Like, I had no option. And finally, there was a lot of houses that we kept missing out on because their showing schedule was very tight. They were only able to make it out on Saturday. So, a house goes up a week prior on a Monday, by the time we're able to go see it, it's probably under contract or, they accepted an offer. So time was like very, very crunched. So at that point, after I showed them a couple of houses and they fell in love with a few, but the timelines didn't match up. We couldn't see it or accepted offers, whatever. I had to kind of put that pressure like, hey, listen, you're going to have to compromise somewhere along the line. And it sucks. And I tell them all the time, listen, I work with lower end buyers. I work with higher end buyers. People who even have millions of dollars who I work with still have to compromise.
100%.
And
unless you build from the ground up.
Exactly. You're going to have to compromise. And most people aren't building from the ground up. So there has to be a sense of compromise. And listen, you don't want to settle. Right. But as we start seeing things, there's kind of things that you could pick and choose. Like, okay, is this really a deal breaker? Is this something I could live with? Et cetera, et cetera. So when it came to this house, they loved it. So I said, listen, we have to be aggressive in our offer. We need to have really, really great terms. I called the agent. I said, what's going to be most important? She said, obviously, the number that they net, and then second would be terms. Okay, so I came forward with this crazy offer, and thankfully it got accepted. But I think you have to be upfront and honest with your clients. He was like, "You really need to coach me on how to make a good offer." And I told him, "This is what will probably get our offer accepted, and XYZ." And thankfully he's under contract and all is well. But when it comes to that, I think you just have to be honest and just kind of gauge their situation. And I always say too, listen, people who are buying now, wish that they bought before COVID and they missed that rush and, they missed a 2 to 3% interest rate. Well, hopefully interest rates go down, but they might not. So, you don't want to be that person who regrets when interest rates, knock on wood, if they were ever like 10 or 11%.
Now you're like, I should have gone at 7%.
Exactly. 7 doesn't seem so bad at that point. So I think that's something that you kind of have to frame it towards them.
I agree.
Kind of put it into perspective for them to understand.
No, that's perfect. It's just like a case by case situation. Everyone's different. Like you said, if you have someone who like your client, you really don't have a choice. You need to get a house. Obviously you don't settle.
Yeah. Like he literally had to be under contract on something. Otherwise he wouldn't be able to extend his closing.
But if you have someone who's maybe not a huge rush and they're just, then obviously you're not going to push like a piece of shit out from them.
No, never. I would, even if they weren't a rush, we would never do that. But I think it's a case by case basis. And I really think when you frame it like, okay, you feel like you missed out then, you don't want to miss out again. Like, let's make a move on it. It gets in people's head. Again, psychology. Yeah. You have to kind of...
You have to know your audience.
Yeah, and you have to kind of get into people's head a little bit. People... don't understand that, I feel like sometimes when we're talking about it, but there is a lot of psychology that goes into real estate.
We always say that, like, you have to know your audience. Like, sometimes we'll talk, like, Trudy and I will be like, oh, we had like a really hard day. Like, this offer didn't get accepted. And then, like, love them. But there's someone in the office who'll be like, I just had 500 contracts. I have a closing. And I'm like, read the damn room. Like,
we're already, me and Danny are like spiraling right now.
We're down bad. Like, there's no need.
We're one phone call away from like.
Yeah. So we're like, there's no need. But again, read your audience. Like, I'm not going to go to someone who maybe is like homeless being like, oh my God, I hate my home. I only have like a queen bed instead of a king. Like
100%. I totally agree. Yeah. And even with your clients, you have to, in real estate, mirror your people. We have clients who, you know, are a little bit older and, you know, are seeking someone a little bit more professional and, you know, like that. And then I have clients who I'm like, I call them and we're just like, what's up, slime? Like, whatever. Like, it's, you know,
I just learned what slime was.
Me too. I didn't know
yesterday.
But, you know, same thing. Like it goes both ways.
Wait, I actually wanted to touch on this. I purposely wrote it.
Okay.
Because I had an example, but the power of storytelling with the house.
Okay.
So you probably remember that video we saw.
Yes, that was such a good video.
It was so good. So it was, I don't remember what brokerage, but it was in Canada. And they created this sick listing video.
It was great.
Like this beautiful house. And it was supposed to be like from the point of view of the house, like whatever. Let's just say the address was like 54, like Daisy Lane or whatever. So it was like Daisy talking. And it was like, it showed you the progression. So it's like, you know, a family moving in for the first time. Then
it's got the chills.
Yeah, I know. Then the couple had like a baby and they're like, I was there for like, you know, when you were born, when you came home, like your first couple like restless nights. And then it was like, say fast forward, the mom comforting the daughter in her room because she had a heartbreak. And she's like, I was there for every heartbreak. Like, you know, every boy that like you broke up with or whatever.
The girl went to college, I think.
Yeah, she's like, I remember sending you off and like the room being like bare afterwards. And then it was like, you know, then it came down to like it, like they were selling the house and they're like, you know, the house is like, we created so many great memories. I can't wait to do the same for another family and have them experience.
So beautiful. I literally got the chills right now.
I know.
Me and Danny talk about this video all the time because it really, it's stuck in our head. It was so beautiful and so touching.
It did. And that's like so true. The power of storytelling, because it's like, even, you know, we've seen in closings, like that one that I had in Diggs Hills. I mean, the seller was a freaking nightmare, but like when we were actually at the table, she was an elderly woman and she's like, yeah, like I had my kids here. I raised my kids here. And it was just like, you know, it's emotional storytelling. And then you're like, wow, like that's going to be my house where like maybe I had like my greatest accomplishments. I had my lowest lows. I had my first heartbreak there. I found out that like I got the accepted job offer there. So it was like such a good video.
It was. And it's crazy.
I'm sure the house flew.
Oh, I'm sure. It was beautiful too.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I feel like sometimes in real estate, it feels so transactional. You know, we're like trying to get you into this home and whatever. And, you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, you get so caught up in it. It's like you forget like so many memories, so many beautiful things, you know, your highs, your lows happening between those four walls. And it's such a beautiful thing.
And it's like, even though obviously the house isn't like living and real, it's like, oh, when I was like at my lowest and I'm like just laying in my bed, it's like, you know, my house was like comforting to me. That was my comfort place. It supplied you with warmth, a roof over your
100%.
head. You never went hungry in there.
I agree. Like there's nothing more comforting to me than after like a long day and I'm like, you know, going through it just to like go home. You know, I picture myself walking into the door, like my mom cooking a good home cooked meal, like showering, getting comfy, like just that feeling, you know, like again, it's nostalgic. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's home. You know, even the smell of my house, I could like smell it. I'm like, like I know what my house smells like. It's crazy.
Like you're sick, you want to be home. You're feeling sad, you want to be home. Like there's just no place.
Yeah, you're feeling happy, you want to go and run home and tell everybody.
And tell everyone. There's just no place like home. So I think that was such a brilliant
It really was.
idea.
We'll try to link the video. If we
we'll try to find it.
It was so good.
We have to find it. But I just thought it was like so great because it's true.
Yeah, like, and I had never seen something like that either.
Which
and it was so beautiful. I'm like, wow, it really put things into perspective. I'm like, you know, there really is no place like home.
No, and like we always say, don't get me wrong, a new construction is stunning, it's beautiful, but there's a certain charm to like a house that like maybe house someone's memories for like 50 plus years.
Yeah, their whole generation of people.
Yeah. Like when we go to like certain houses and like you could tell like how much pride they have, I can go in the room and be like, oh my God, like this is where like the great family movie nights are. This is where the big Thanksgiving holiday is.
Yeah. And I love when like sometimes if the seller's there, they start telling you about their home and they have so much pride in their home. And they're like, oh, like look at this, look at that. I'm like, oh, it's really touching.
Right. So I think that's a big part. And like True and I said, we always joke around, but we're like, oh, this is where the Christmas tree goes. But I know for both of us, when we're showing people homes, we're like, oh my God, this would be a great space for this. This would be like this, just to like get them excited. Like, hey, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah. And to have them envision their life there. Cause you aren't just selling a home. I think you're also selling a lifestyle, which people tend to forget sometimes. Like, I always, me and Danny do the same thing. Like if I'm showing a house with a beautiful pool, I'm like, oh my gosh, imagine, in the summer, it's hot, grilling, the fireworks going off, having a nice drink, relaxing by the pool. It's like little things like that you don't really think about when you're maybe buying a home, but that's like our job to kind of sell you the home with the lifestyle as well.
100%.
The last topic we're going to touch on is the importance of trust when working with your real estate agent.
Which might be the biggest part of like the whole psychology.
I was going to say, I really think that is the number one. I know for, you and I both, that's our biggest thing with our clients. There's nothing more gratifying than knowing that somebody truly puts like all of their trust in us.
Yeah. And I think what we were saying, that's the biggest part, because we build such good trust with our clients where it's like, they'll ask us before they even put an offer or even consider one, like, hey, what do you think? Would you buy this house? Do you think this is good for me? And I think because Trina and I pride ourselves, we really get to know our client. We'll be straight up like, this isn't a good investment. Like, this isn't going to serve you. This isn't going to fit your needs. Or, if we tell them like, hey, I think this is a great opportunity for you, like they trust you to put in the offer. Like sometimes they wouldn't even put in the offer if
they don't get like an okay from you, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's super important that our clients obviously trust us and they trust the people that we work with as well, because we work very hard networking and really building a foundation for our buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
A network of people. I always tell everyone, it's not just me. It's you're getting my attorneys, my inspectors, my handyman, my landscaper, the guy who cleans out the house. Like we have spent a lot of time building these relationships and truly working with people that we trust as well.
Yeah.
These are people that I would use on a personal level in my own home with my own friends and family. And, I feel like my word is the thing I have at the end of the day is my word. And I take my word so seriously, and that's all I have at the end of the day. So I really want everyone to trust me and my opinion and the people that I work with. And there's nothing more important when you're buying a house than working with people you trust. It's your biggest investment.
Because once the trust is broken, like that's it, it's done. They're not going to believe any word you say.
No, I agree. Even on the other side of deals, like I'm working that deal right now, and the seller side has been lying to us. The seller, the selling agent, the seller's attorney. I'm like, did you not think we were going to find out? Like all you had to do was just be honest and upfront. In real estate, there's always a solution. You just have to communicate.
I agree.
There's no reason to lie.
I love like the people where we always do too. If we have an offer that we're like, maybe it's not the greatest, we'll be like to the listing agent, like, hey, I'm going to be transparent with you. This is what it is, but is there any way we can kind of meet in the middle? So I think truth all around with your client, like Trudy said, with like the other agent, with attorneys, with loan officers, is the biggest thing ever.
I agree. I think being really sincere will take you very, very far in this business, and being honest, because listen, real estate agents maybe don't have the best reputation. I've heard it before. We've all heard it. But I really think being authentic and being yourself like that, I put in an offer the other day. It was like almost embarrassing to put in, honestly. But obviously I put it in because my responsibility to my client. And I told the agent straight up, like, listen, I know the board probably won't accept this number, but if there's something we could do to make it work, like let's work it out together. Let's 100%. Figure it out. And she's like, I really appreciate your sincerity. And that meant a lot to me, because I'm like, I am being honest. I'm being upfront. It's not always rainbows and butterflies, but I think as long as you're honest, transparent, and really authentically yourself, people sniff the bullshit. I'm telling you, people sniff out the bullshit. If you're a liar, if you're a fraud, if you're a fake,
you don't have genuine intentions.
Exactly. People know.
So be honest.
Be honest. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to wrap up episode 7. We hope you guys learned something, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.